Alright, so I've seen Moana 2, and yes, it is finally here, the follow-up to the 2016 film, where we follow Moana yet once again as she sets sail on another adventure, and as the journey continues, and she brings alongside her crew, and her guide Maui, the demigod, along with the other side characters like with the pig and Hey. And I gotta say, this was a good, decent, fun sequel, but I liked it, I enjoyed it, but there were flaws and issues that I have with this film that prevented it from being a good movie, or as it lacked from the first. And this will be my non-spoiler review for the movie, go over my impressions, but my thoughts also, and so much to talk about more in this video. And so if you're new, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so any future videos. But now, let's talk about Moana 2. And now, let me start by saying that with Moana, that has become a staple household name of Disney princesses, especially with so many generations of kids that have grew to love this character, especially with the Polynesian and the Hawaiian culture, where she comes from, and exploring her background and her family. And it was so fun to explore, especially as kids. Really adored the heck out of the first film from 2016, and I really loved the first movie, especially with Moana and Maui that are a great duo, especially with the storyline and the songs were catchy. But even later down the line, it became one of the most viewed animated properties on Disney Plus. That's right, the most viewed animated films. And you with other kids that really love this character, like they are really adored, like exploring like all that. But even going into this sequel, and also this wasn't planned as like a full-on sequel. In fact, it was originally planned to be a limited Disney Plus series, and I can definitely see why what went into making it shift from that into a theatrical sequel, which we didn't know about until it was announced at the start of the year that they were making a sequel to Moana 2, and that to be released in Thanksgiving of this year. And now, I want to say, with the sequel though, I feel like it was good. It was a decent fun time, especially as we follow up on the character of Moana as she wants to set sail on a new adventure because of the ancestors that are calling out to her, and she has to bring along the new crew and to set sail to find out what adventure lies ahead. It's unlike anything that she has ever faced. Like, especially as Moana has a sister in this film, especially with their moments on screen. Oh my gosh, it is so adorable, and yeah, it is so fun to watch their chemistry on screen. And even though like we get the family and their involvement, and with Moana, what I liked about her character in the first film, it's like how the way I felt about her, especially after the first movie. But I feel like she is more of like a wayfinder now, because like she knows what lies ahead in the ocean, and the ocean chose her, and it was like a very fun to explore that type of storyline with Moana being involved here. And even though with like stakes that are raised high a little bit because she may not make it home, that she has to like take care of this adventure that might prevent her from coming home. But even with Maui that gets involved, like her guide, and like I liked Dwayne Johnson back in the role as Maui, the demigod, and I mean like kids love Maui, especially like with that song coming from him, and it was like the most popular song. But even with Maui's role in this film, it kind of felt reduced, and we didn't get that like Maui and Moana duo on screen as much as it were from the first movie. But even though with the concept and the different ideas that they went to a point here, I feel like it almost felt so reduced to the point where the adventure was bland and somehow boring of the way that they wanted to execute this sequel. Because even with the elements, even from the start to finish, and so some elements and ideas, it literally looked like an episode of a Disney Plus show. Because I feel like with the Coconut Pirates and what their storyline is, and it almost felt like something I would see in like a Disney Plus episode. But I feel like it wasn't quite hitting as much as the first movie did, because as I said, I had fun with it, and I thought with the songs in this movie, I thought they were catchy, but they were still a ton of fun, but they didn't quite hit as the first movie did. Because even though why the first Moana is so popular, because it's one of the best animated films from Disney, because it had like a simple storyline of Moana going on an adventure to restore the heart and having Maui along with her, and it was a simple story as that. But even with the sequel here, that has like so much stuff going on, it almost felt like reduced to the point where you almost feel bored like watching this movie, and the adventure is almost not as fun as the way it used to be. But I liked Moana, and I liked the side characters, but I can't tell if they were an interesting group of people to be alongside her. Plus, I love the pig and Hey the chicken, because of the Hey it is so hilarious to see on screen. Like he has like funniest moments. But even though I just generally liked what I saw, but again it was a decent watch. But I almost felt like with this new adventure, it was sort of like lacking that sort of pace and tone. It kind of felt so underwhelming. Yeah, with Moana and Maui, their partnership is sort of like reduced and not so much unfolded as it's on screen on par with what the first movie did. But I just generally think this should have stayed as a Disney Plus show, because that's it was originally intended to be. But it wanted to be a full-on sequel, but there were a lot of problems that came along the way. And also, I want to say with the sequel, it had so many ideas and elements that were kind of like all over the place. It doesn't even know what type of story or plot that they want to focus on here. It was almost like it was typically forced, because I think this is what I mean. I feel like a lot of stuff could have been better, or what the original plans for the Disney Plus series wanted to deliver. But I feel like I was watching an episode of this Disney Plus series, with this trying to be focused as a follow-up sequel, and this movie is surprisingly lacked that. Because I was not quite surprised, because I feel like this does deliver some good heartfelt moments, and it's stuff to make you emotional and make you feel like going to crave an adventure with Moana and Maui, but especially with the other side characters. And so especially for what sequels you fail to do, and try to focus on a simple good story. That's how I feel like. That's what it simply felt like with Moana 2, because I feel like a lot of the things were sort of lacking it and sort of preventing it from being great. But I generally feel like this came out to be a good final product. But plus we're getting a live action version of Moana in 2026. Let that sink in. But I feel like with the sequel that is coming that come out this year, and even though I feel like I don't know what to say about it, but it seems like it's sort of like a lackluster story that I feel like kids will definitely get an enjoyment out of this, especially with families that want to take their kids to see this movie. I mean go ahead, I recommend it, but it's not something that I would look back on. But I always prefer to refer to the first Moana as one of the best animated films of all time from Disney. But I feel like it didn't quite hit as the same, and that's all I got for you. So my final thoughts are: I liked and enjoyed Moana 2. I feel like the storyline was good, but not that great. I generally liked the songs, especially from Moana, Maui, and even the fun moments and good heartfelt ones to make you feel emotional. And I think you'll have a good time at the movies with this film. And it comes out Thanksgiving weekend, so make your plans, go out and see this film. But for me, as an average general viewer, I feel like if it were there were things that were definitely lackluster in this film from being great, and I feel like it just didn't quite hit as the same, but it's still a good, decent, solid sequel as well. But that's gonna do it for this video. Just let me know in the comments below, and if you see Moana 2 or if you're planning to see it, just let me know. What would you rate this film 1 out of 10? Just let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to notifications about future videos. And also follow all my social medias over the link down below. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.